know, it's very funny. This car reminds me of the Ferrari F40 for some reason. It has the same visceral feel. I mean, you got half. Well, you got the half number of cylinders, but the way it's very direct, and it, you know, when you shift, it's very direct. It's very analog. And the cool thing is, the engine is not anything particularly complicated. Welcome to the episode of Jay Leno's Garage. You know, every decade produces some legendary cars. And the 1980s produced this one. This is a 1982 Lancia Stradale. This is one of the great rally cars. This is one of those cars that builds a reputation. They were never actually available here in the States. They built a road-going version, which I looked at the time, which was very, very good. We'll get into that in a minute or two. But this is just a fantastic car. It's a real treat to have it here. It belongs to our good friend, Phillip Sarofim. He is an Italian car aficionado of the first order. He knows the right ones to buy, and this is one of the great ones. Phil, come on in here. Good to see you, my friend.
Hi, Jay.
This is a great car. This is fantastic. Really something. Tell us about this.
So this is a 1982 037 Stradale, or street version. The 037 was a code name. It was developed with Lancia and Abarth and Sergio Limone. This is essentially the street version of the car that won the 1983 World Rally Constructors title. Most people know Lancia for the Stratos, and this is kind of often the overlooked car. But this was Walter Roll's favorite car, and Walter Roll was the driver that led Lancia to victory over the Audi Quattro.
I remember running down to the dealership on Wilshire Boulevard because there was an American version called the Scorpion, I believe it was. They tried to make you believe it was a version of this car. It wasn't even close. It was more like a Fiat X19 or something. It didn't have any horsepower, maybe 110, something like that. It was pretty slow. It was a great looking car, but the engine was transverse. It wasn't particularly fast, and it was a huge disappointment, especially after seeing one of these.
Right. Yeah. Oftentimes they build pretty special stuff for the U.S. and Canadian market.
Well, let's go right to the heart of the beast here. Tell us about the engine. 4-cylinder inline 4?
Yeah, it's an inline 4 Lampredi engine that was breathed on by Abarth. It has an Abarth supercharger. They had to be under 3,000 cc, so with 1995 cc and forced induction.
Can we open it up, take a look at the engine?
Yeah, let's do. Can I get a hand?
Sure.
Everything on this car is a two-person job.
There we go. Oh, look, boys in the hood. All right, I've got this. I love how accessible everything is. Tell us what we have here.
So we've got an inline 4. We've got the Abarth supercharger here.
All right.
Airbox, charcoal filter. Here's our dry sump oil tank.
Dry sump oil, yeah.
Dipstick to check the oil. The coolant next to it. All rally cars had dry sump oil tanks because of the G's they're pulling, and you also need constant fuel pressure as well.
So what kind of horsepower are we making?
265.
Wow, okay, from 2 liters, right?
Yes, 2 liters. Okay. And they went up to 325 with the power packs.
Wow.
Yeah. You've got twin gas tanks with fillers on both sides as well. Double dampeners with coilover suspension. The double dampeners also reduce the amount of heat by spreading the load.
That's the Lampredi motor, correct?
Yes, Lampredi inline 4.
I always get it wrong. It's Lampredi. Yeah. You know, it's so funny, when you read these things, not many friends of mine that are not car people know what I'm talking. So you get your own version of how it's pronounced. Like I've always said Lancia because it sounded American, but it's Lancia, isn't it?
Lancia.
Lancia, yeah, that's what you say.
From what I understand.
It's like when Americans say, when Britons say Packard. I've had a Packard. No, it's a Packard. So it's the same thing.
Speaking of pronunciations, this is a ZF 5-speed box.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
ZF, ZF.
And I love that the supercharger is like almost the size of the engine. It's a huge.
It is.
Because these are what?
Look at the monster headers that they have to have as a result.
Yeah, originally this class was 3 liters, but if you had 2 liters and supercharged, that was the same as 3 liters, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah. And what does it weigh?
About 2,100 pounds.
Okay, wow, that's nothing. I mean, that's less than a McLaren F1, you know.
Yeah, it's pretty lightweight.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I love the exhaust tips, and it's a 5-speed, you said?
Group B exhaust.
Yeah.
Yes, ZF 5-speed. You can see they use the center cockpit, the cockpit from the predecessor, the Monte Carlo, and then they built a custom steel tube frame chassis around.
Yeah, the Monte Carlo, the engine had a transverse engine.
Correct, and they switched it to longitudinal to
just,
get lower CG and also better handling.
Because the Monte Carlo was nothing at all like, you know, it was really sad.
It was,
you know, because these were such incredible cars. And how many did they build?
They built 200 Stradales.
Okay, and then what, the rules changed, is that what it was?
The rules changed in 1982, and it was the golden age of motorsports lunacy.
Yeah.
So,
when you go to YouTube, guys are just all over the place.
Yeah, the Group B stuff is unbelievable.
Yeah.
You can see the spectators touching the cars as they're turning around corners, and people's fingers falling out of hoods when they're opened up, and
that's never good.
No, it's not.
No.
So,
and this
is kind of like F1 was in the 50s and 60s.
Now, this obviously predates carbon fiber. This is fiberglass,
This is Kevlar reinforced fiberglass.
Oh, Kevlar reinforced fiberglass. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you forget this car is, what, 37, 38 years old?
Right.
You know, I mean, it's pretty amazing. It still seems like a modern car to me, because we just don't see these here in the United States, which is what makes it really exciting. Do you say 5-speed?
Amazing to see. It's a 5-speed box. It's amazing to see how adjustable everything is.
Yeah.
Got the double wishbone suspension. How all of this
Heim joints and all that. Yeah.
Everything is Heim jointed.
Yeah.
So.
And it looks like you got that air cleaner stuffed in there. I love the headers. The headers are very sexy. Obviously, 4-wheel disc brakes. Are they Brembos?
Yes,
they
they're
use
Brembos.
Okay. Yeah, that was sort of the. If you're Italian, that's the way to go. And the springs are just massive. I imagine that you're just pounding down the road in these things, aren't you?
Yes, and they're fully adjustable, and you've got the double Coney dampeners. Look at the size of the rear axles as well. I mean, they're bigger than a Porsche 930.
Yeah, they are. Look at that. Yeah, good size. Now, was this always a road car, this one, or was this one
This one was always a road car.
Okay.
So the Stradales are all road cars.
Right. Let's move to the front.
Okay.
Let's open up the front. Okay.
A little easier than the back.
Yeah, a little spare tire, and you could take a toothbrush and a pair of socks if you go on a trip. Yeah.
Weight-saving spare.
Amazing how clean it is. Boy, it's beautiful. Yeah, that's when the dreaded weight-saving spare came in, wasn't it? Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I'm surprised. There was only one fan. Usually, they would have 2 fans, you'd think, in a car like this, a high-performance vehicle.
Yeah, big oil cooler.
Small radiator, big oil cooler. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Here you have this steel tube frame suspension. In front, you'll see it's aluminum because that also doubles as the crash zone or crumple zone. Here's your bag for your washer fluid.
Right.
You've got your jack. You've got your brake boosters.
Yeah.
Double wishbone suspension.
Well, you see why it's so light. I mean, everything it's all tube frame construction, and it's reinforced Kevlar or fiberglass with Kevlar, you said? Yeah.
And then this front bar here is for adjustable caster.
Right. And you said this comes off as well, huh?
This comes off, I guess, based on various helmet sizes. A double bubble is to accommodate helmets for racing.
Well, I think it's time we went racing. You want to take it for a ride?
I thought you'd never ask.
Oh, let's do it. Come on. I'll always ask. Okay. Does this fasten, or do I have to? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let's put down the Venus flytrap. There we go. I got this.
Okay.
Cool.
Here you are.
Why, thank you. I love this job. People show up with cars and they give them to you. It couldn't be any stupider. You got to get a job like this, really. If you're into cars, this is the only way to do it. Never drive your own car. That's what I always say. Wow, I love this big bar along the side here. And that's in all the road cars, huh?
Yes, the integrated roll cage.
Start her up. Wow, feels like it's got no flywheel at all.
The quick shifting is what Walter Roll said caused him to win the World Rally Championship.
Well, let's go win the World Rally Championship. You know, it's very funny. This car reminds me of the Ferrari F40 for some reason. It has the same visceral feel. I mean, you got half.
Like a 288.
Well, you got the half number of cylinders, but
Right.
the way it's very direct, and it, you know, when you shift, it's very direct. It's very analog. And you know, it's not really loud at all. I mean, it's a pleasant sound. And being supercharged, it's not like a turbo where you have lag. You're just on the power all the time, which
Right.
makes it really
Get
nice
direct
to
power.
drive. Get some heat in it now. Wonderful gearbox. A notchy gearbox just ruins the whole drive. Because
Absolutely.
the whole thing to this is just clicking through the gears and having fun and enjoying the mechanicalness of the car. Bad gearbox like having to watch with a bad mainspring. You know, you just it clicks over a couple of, or the spring is too hard to turn. You feel like you're forcing it. You know, when you get a nice watch, it just does that nice roll when you turn the wheel. I love how free the engine is. You just touch the gearbox, it revs right up.
It's a very rev-happy, high-revving motor.
Yeah, it's a wonderful motor.
Just fantastic.
But these are 25 years old, so you can bring them into the States now.
This was just restored by the Baldi brothers.
And where are they?
They're in Turin.
Oh,
They're
okay.
kind of the known Lancia A-Barth experts.
Yeah. You know, it does feel like a little F40. You know, it's funny. Imagine if they built this car today, though. It would be all carbon fiber. You know, you'd probably save it more. Well, then you'd have to have all the airbags and all that stuff. There'd probably be a wash. And nobody knows what this is, do they?
Not really, no. Occasionally you get people who will recognize it.
The people who know go crazy. Everybody else says, what is that? Well, I don't know. I mean, you can drive this to San Francisco or anywhere. It's not noisy. I don't find it loud at all.
No, it's not.
I find it rather pleasant.
Night with this double pane glass behind you, you get quite a lot of reflection.
Yeah.
So when cars are coming at you, it looks like you've got someone speeding up behind you.
So when you see a car like this, these don't come up for sale very often. Did you get a chance to drive it before you bought it? Or you just said, I'm going to assume it's good, I'll take a chance?
I did not, although it had been a car I've lusted after for many years since I was a child. I always thought it was such a beautiful shape and design, and loved the Group B rally history.
You grew up in the States, right? So you couldn't have seen one anywhere.
No, I'd never seen one.
Yeah. Was this the first one you saw?
This was.
Wow, that's like marrying the first girl you dated, isn't it? Yeah. So the first one you saw, and you got a good one, which is great.
Gotta have it, right.
Because I got to admit, I don't see these coming up for sale very often.
No, not in the U.S. and not often globally.
And when they were new, they weren't crazy, were they?
No, that's what's nice about these homologated Group B cars is that, you know, they're approachable in terms of value. I mean, they're not out of control like a lot of other homologated race cars.
Right. And this is a this Class B thing. It only lasted a couple of years, right?
Yes, yeah. It didn't last very long for very good reasons as well. I mean, it was just complete motorsport lunacy.
Yeah, yeah. And these raced on every conceivable kind of surface, didn't they?
Yes, yes. Tarmac, gravel,
Yeah.
everything.
But that's what I like about it. It's a real world car.
It is.
You know, as much as I love my Carrera GT, it's so low to the ground. And gee, I mean, I just have to. There are roads I literally can't drive on because I know, there's a couple of potholes there. You know, whereas this is something you know, you just take it out and you throw it around. So the first time you drove it, was it exactly what you thought? A little disappointed, elated? Where were you?
I did not realize how much fun these cars were.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I mean, my expectations were far exceeded.
I mean, to me, my three criteria are nice to look at, fun to drive, technically interesting. And the ones that have all three are the ones I love. You know, I've got a Delahaye, and it's nice, but it's just a 6-cylinder pushrod engine, so it feels like a Chevy 6. I mean, it's cool to look at, but the engine doesn't excite me. You know, the Bugatti, like the Type 35, that has all three elements. Great to look at, really cool engine specs, unusual design, great noise, and really fun to drive.
And an amazing Grand Prix car, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, this one,
It's the original Super.
this one ticks all the boxes. And look at that, it stops right now. You know, it's so funny, I'm surprised it's as good as a road car as it is, because a lot of times when they homologate a car, it's good enough. You know, and in the real world they overheat, or you know, there's some problem because it's a race car. They just need it. But this, they really, I mean, it's a real road car.
But it's amazing how many vestiges of the Group B rally era
Yeah.
are, you know, present inside of these homologated examples. I mean, with the integrated roll cage and
Yeah.
the passenger-centric gauges for the navigator to be
I'm
able
stunned
to
that they
view.
kept the integrated roll cage, because it's almost impossible to get in and out of. I mean, I actually like this as much as the F40, because the power doesn't change. You know, the F40 got the twin turbo, so when it kicks in, it's, oh my God. Whereas this, it's just so linear. It just keeps climbing, you know. Very predictable, you know where it's going.
I think there's a great romance in seeing where it came from and what it was intended for.
Yeah, did you find out who the original owner was?
I did not. It was in Japan until 2016.
Oh, that's why it has so few miles on it, huh? How long was it in Japan, do you know?
Since new until 2000.
Since new?
Yeah.
Wow. And then it went all the way to Italy to get restored. Went back to Italy.
And then to the U.S.
Yeah. Well, this has got to be the nicest one out there, because this is a car I imagine people speed up and slap around a lot, you know?
Absolutely, as they should. As I should.
And the cool thing is the engine is not anything particularly complicated. You know, any good, competent, especially Italian mechanic knows what to do here. There's not a lot of, you know, it's not like a Ferrari where, oh my God, parts are unobtainable and you gotta wait.
And everything is so accessible.
Yeah, I mean, when you lift that hood, you can get right in there. Assuming the hood doesn't fall down on your head. I would almost have two of those rods in there. You know, I don't know. That's like the scariest thing I've ever seen. You put that up and it's like, whoa.
I might have to.
It just looks like, you know, come on, you're like it's like a Venus flytrap. Like it's just gonna grab you when you stick your head in there.
I may have to figure out a less precarious system for raising and lowering the hood.
Well, I imagine you could probably put another rod on the other side. But I imagine when they work on that, they probably just take the whole hood off, don't they?
Most likely.
And you bought this one in Europe or here?
No,
you bought
I
it.
bought this at Bonham's in Scottsdale.
Okay. So it came. The Japanese owner sold it in the States.
No, I think I went to someone who had it restored.
Oh, okay, and then sold.
Consigned it for sale.
Oh, wow. This is very nice to drive. Very confidence building steering. Very communicative. You can feel everything coming through the steering wheel, through up the steering column, you know, every ripple in the road, but not in an annoying way.
You don't feel any slack either.
No, no, nowhere. Can't imagine what it sounds like with the competition exhaust. It must really scream.
This one has the grip gauge on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's still pretty quiet. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Well, Phillip, it's been a real thrill. This is one of those bucket list cars. And I must say, I say you never want to meet your heroes, but this time it's okay. Because it's everything I thought it would be. It's really very nice. I mean, it really feels like half of an F40 Ferrari. You know, it's still plenty fast, but it's dart-like, but it's stable. The steering is fantastic. And I love this gear shift link. You just want to move it all day. Look at that. See you guys next week. Thanks for watching.
Mm-hmm.